Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Stewart, and I'm very pleased to present ORCAP. ORCAP is a brand new concept. It's something that nobody else is doing in the junior space quite the way we are. But for those who have followed OR Finders and OR Group, it's not too much of a departure. It's just us taking it to the next level, formalizing it, and putting it within a vehicle which investors can gain exposure to a diversified set of opportunities, special situations more specifically. And that just means corporate actions that give you exposure to precious and critical metals with a management team who is going to actively approach and actively manage these investments. We're not investing in a passive way. We're investing actively, which means we're going in there to enact change, create value with good projects, good people, and support these people and put in investments so our group gets exposure to these diversified situations where we can create a lot of value, get exposure to a broad group of companies, good people, but it's all about putting ourselves in front of this wave. And this wave I define as a bull cycle within the precious and the critical metals space, which is, we think, upon us. It's impossible to define its timing, but we think it's getting closer and closer by the day. And there's also just this near capitulation in terms of the juniors. Most of the juniors are sitting there starved for capital, and hence the opportunity. This is when you really want to go in there and make smart investments, investments that afford you to be patient, but giving you exposure to the right people, the right projects, and giving them support and the capital to survive and thrive and turn yourself around. So what is a special situation? It's a problem that can be solved with an active approach and investment. It's simple as that. We are turning things around. We're looking for distressed opportunities, and distress comes in many different forms. Right now, it's in terms of capital, but there's too many juniors. So perhaps it's consolidation, perhaps it's a change in management or a board, perhaps it's the introduction of a strategic investor, partnership with majors. You name it, there is a lot of ways that we can identify problems and look to solve them with a really deep team who is creative and has a track record of doing so. As I said, we've been doing this for 10 years, but ORCAP is just a manifestation of this strategy put into a junior. And I think the timing is really quite perfect, because timing is everything. And there are a lot of ways to make money and create shareholder value in this industry beyond the drill bit. Certainly the drill bit is tried and true. You can always drill that game-changing drill hole. There's no question about it, but it's risky. We think this approach is less risky. Certainly there are risks, there's no question about it, but I think timing can mitigate that. And we are near cyclical lows. I don't want to say all-time lows, but the market is absolutely starved. And when I say the market, I'm talking specifically about the juniors. The metal prices have been strong, but the juniors have not participated. The juniors are near at all-time lows. You look at the TSX Venture Index, and it's very depressed. I think it's near capitulation. I get calls all the time from juniors looking for capital and just really almost giving up. So to me, that's the opportunity. Now's the time to double down. And that's what we're doing. But we're not doing, again, I emphasize, this is not passive. We're doing active approach. So we're leveraging. We're not just going in an all boats will rise strategy. We think there's going to be a catapult. When all boats do rise, the cream will rise to the top. And those are the ones that have great teams, great management, strong, focused messaging, and a good approach. And I think, there's a huge opportunity to invest in, select juniors, as we say here. So the juniors themselves are tremendously undervalued. When metal prices rise, it's companies like Barrick and Freeport that produce the metals that react first. Those are the ones that get the cash flow right away. Whereas the juniors, there is this lag. I called it the golden lag, and it's anywhere from 6 to 12 months. Obviously, a lot of variability in that. But companies like QC Copper or American Eagle, they do not participate directly in line with appreciation in metals, unless it's a very strong move. But there is this lag. We are in that period of lag right now where juniors are not getting the love, and hence that's a great opportunity to invest and then wait for the sector as a whole, the junior sector as a whole, to catapult and really give a lot of leverage or a lot of beta. So we look for alpha to enact change, and then we're really going to benefit from the market beta, which means the market, the junior market moves when the capital comes back, and they will come back because there is serious supply and demand issues with the metals. Everybody knows this. Everybody talks about it. It is not some fictitious narrative. It is real, and that will be manifested in the juniors, because the juniors, speaking on behalf of them, we are the ones that create this supply, and there's a lot of great projects out there, and it's harder and harder to find. And so in terms of finding deposits, they're going deeper, and they're lower grades. So if you can find those good assets, invest in them in places like Canada. By far, that's our preferred jurisdiction. We will be more opportunistic, as I'll demonstrate. We've invested in a new company called Awale, which is closing soon. That's in West Africa, but that's a unique opportunity. Again, it's an example of distressed opportunity. But if you can back good teams, separate the wheat from the chaff, and get involved in the unloved sector, and be patient. So patience is key, because we can't time everything perfectly. There's a huge opportunity. So I think it's very important for investors to understand where we're coming from, who we are, because I do think our track record is very important. We've demonstrated across the OR Group, which is, the portfolio manager company, if you will, of ORCAP. We've spun off many companies. American Eagle was one of our successes, and just partnered with Teck Resources. Awale, we just announced that deal. It's closing very shortly. They've got a joint venture, and the largest shareholder is Newmont. Mustango has an agreement with Agnico Eagle. That's an example of shareholder activism, where we removed the board. QC Copper was a spinoff from ORCAP back in the day, and it's turned into what we think is the most exciting copper asset in Eastern Canada. And then, of course, the OR Group is a portfolio of companies that, again, is the same team behind ORCAP, and it's just demonstrative of our approach. We are creative, we're entrepreneurial, we communicate with shareholders, and we're long-term investors. We do not sell, never sold a share in our company, so we have a long-term view in this, and I think that is a demonstrative. Just to go into detail, American Eagle is one example. ORCAP owns 5% of American Eagle shares. It also owns 20% of the NAC project. And so it gains exposure to this, has the support of a great company like Teck, very interested in the copper space. This project is unique. It's got a lot of bornite, which gets people excited, particularly Teck. That's why they came in. So we're very pleased to have exposure to that. And again, that was just an example of ORCAP creating value, being strategic, and having a diversified exposure to different companies through spinoffs. Awale, as I mentioned, there's going to be a lot more news coming out on Awale. It is our first transaction as the ORCAP strategy. We're going to own a significant share of it. Newmont has a joint venture on this Côte d'Ivoire project. It is what we believe is an IOCG, which is an iron oxide copper gold system. Brand new district, excellent drill results, lots of work to be done. But we gained a lot of faith by our experience in that type of geology, but also by the fact that Newmont came in there early and saw kind of what we saw. Newmont, the largest gold company in the world, does not, in effect, get out of bed for less than 5 million ounces. Anything less than that, it just doesn't move the needle for them. So to have a company like Newmont involved at this stage gets people's attention, and there's no question. We changed management team. We've got a very strong leadership in place with lots of experience there. It was the people behind Mariana Resources. So it's a strong team. Needed investment, which we've provided, needed some assistance in turning things around, and we're going to be promoting and pushing that forward. And Newmont is spending $3 million on that project, not Awale's treasury. So it's a very interesting next 12 months for Awale. But again, just an example of a turnaround. We invested in it at a $3.5 million valuation. So, I mean, that is an attractive opportunity, and something that shareholders of ORCAP can expect us to look for and achieve further transactions quite like that. Mustango River Resources, again, people following ore finders will know that is we acquired interest, our control of Mustango through removing management. And again, an example of an active approach. It's been a roller coaster of a ride for Mustango, up and down. It is in the traditional exploration industry, and is an example of the ups and the downs, and drilling and financing and so on and so forth. But it has managed to attract Agnico Eagle as a shareholder and a joint venture partner. Same with ORCAP. And so I think that speaks to the quality of the projects and the way the team operates. And again, that's the same team that is ultimately behind the OR Group. QC Copper, part of our OR Group portfolio, but ORCAP owns a significant percentage of it. And again, ORCAP spun off what is now QC Copper. QC Copper has a very interesting project, open pit deposit in Chibougamau, which is not an emerging district, it's an old district that's been reborn in terms of open pit mineralization. QC Copper is well financed, and it is about to release a updated mineral resource on it. And there are lots of exciting things in the pipeline for it. And again, OreFinders will have exposure, or does have exposure to it, and will continue to support it. And ORCAP itself has a strategic partnership in place with Agnico Eagle. Agnico Eagle owns 10% of our shares and has a joint venture on most of its physical assets, which ORCAP does own physical assets and may seek additional physical assets, but its focus will be on corporate transaction and getting other people to spend their treasury dollars on their assets. So we can focus, again, away from the drill bit, more on corporate actions. So again, to have the support and shareholder and be able to attract partners like Agnico Tech, Newmont is part and parcel of who we are and some of the value that we can bring to the table. Just briefly here, we'll run through some of the physical assets. Again, these are things that are not, our treasury dollars are not going towards. We've got McGarry, we've got Knight, and we've got Murado, are all in the Kirkland Lake camp. Agnico Eagle's got we're now in the third year, and with $57 million committed left to that. We'll see what happens on these projects, but that's the circumstances that are under there. Very marketable assets, lots of ounces in the ground, world-class jurisdiction. ORCAP had consolidated various assets in the Kirkland Lake camp, and it's started that approach in the Chibougamau district as well, exactly where the QC Copper asset is. The Grizzly asset is in that district. And last, we've got a really interesting project in northern Alberta, which is exposure to zinc. It's early days, but we're chasing a very large deposit there, and we will likely look for a joint venture partner on that. Finally, our team, great team. Brand new addition is Jerry Brocklesby. Jerry, for anybody who is a CEO of a Canadian company, will know, and if I think they know, they probably like Jerry. He's a great guy, very experienced, financed, as I said, the founder of MarQuest, which is one of the largest flow-through funds in Canada. Jerry has financed us over the years many times, and many others, so he's got a very unique set of skills and experience by knowing capital providers, which is always important, and also knowing the issuers. And so he provides all sorts of intellectual property that we can leverage in terms of our strategy, identifying opportunities, financing them moving forward. And then we've got a very strong team, both technical, financial, and the ORCAP and OR Group team has a platform where we support. We've got operations teams very strong in geology. So we're very proud of the team that we built over the years. And last, this is where we're cheap. I think that's the opportunity for us. We in the past have been down at near lows, just like all the other juniors, but we have a very strong balance sheet. We've got a lot of cash, we've got marketable securities, and we've got significant positions on all those companies that we spoke about. So I think OreFinders is, ORCAP now, as effective today, is in a very unique position in terms of the value that it offers on its balance sheet, but also its strategy going forward, most importantly. This is the OR Group of companies. ORCAP is just one of them. It's in effect now the mothership in terms of it operates very differently. But for anybody who wants to find out more about ORCAP, OR Group, any one of our companies, or just talk about the industry, my phone number is there. My email is there, and I'm very pleased to talk to all potential and existing shareholders of ORCAP. So thank you for your time, and have a good day.